I just thought I would give a bit of my perspective on setting up a cluster group for regional technology. When I arrived in 2010, there wasn't a group for scale and scale-up technology in the region, and I had been involved in lots of different cluster groups in London, and I was always motivated actually by my Granny Hoult, who was, she knew everybody. And if you're old in this city, you've got to know the stories, you've got to know the background, 3 generations back. And she always remembered all of those things. And so I thought it was appropriate for us to have a group, and I was keen for the group not to have N and E in it, because all of the region has all this alphabet soup of North, East, Newcastle, etc., and I wanted it to be a bit more abstract, so we called it Dynamo, and I had funding from Bob Payton, who was the head of Accenture in the region, and Bob had come from Ashington, where he got an apprenticeship at the council there. He'd gone on to run VAT for the ministry and then been hired by Accenture because he was one of the civil servants who understood outsourcing, and they wanted him on the inside at Accenture. And Bob was retiring. At this time, in 2014, Accenture had 333 people in the business. They now have over 2,000 as a digital delivery centre. So Bob definitely set it on that trajectory. He was keen on apprenticeships. He was very keen on the region. And he managed to find money to sponsor this session. And he didn't really understand where the vision could go. So I said, let's have a conference. We'll have it at the Civic Centre, which would make it look official. And we'll get Tim Berners-Lee, because he founded the internet. And he was like, right, I'll get the money for that. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Tim Berners-Lee, but we did get Rory Kettle-Jones. And as I put on here, we asked him to say, how do you make the Northeast next Silicon Valley? Unfortunately, he said, don't even try. And I'll come on to that, but much thanks to Matt. I think you were speaking at that event. We managed to get a couple of Lords, a couple of MPs, make it all look really official. Sugata Mitra is another great Newcastle University icon, and again, it's one of the themes that Newcastle has got brilliant everything. It's just not necessarily in the big densities. And in 2014, Sugata Mitra won the best TED Talk of the year. He won $1 million for his talk about the hole-in-the-wall computer, which was, he put computers into slums in India and just left them to see if people would learn. And if you ever get the chance to watch that TED Talk, it is worth $1 million. He did the TED Talk at the event. He had everyone streaming in tears and standing with a standing ovation, because it's a brilliant talk, and I won't spoil it, I won't go into it, but I really recommend it. Yeah, and he's another icon for Newcastle. So I wanted to grow something that was what you can do together that's really hard on your own. And Paul Watson is here, who had brilliant, excellent advice, and I think he came up with a strapline, which was grow in the Northeast IT economy, which became grow the Northeast tech economy. I don't know why IT has become tech, but tech seems to be broader, through collaboration, innovation, skills, and noise. We've got to make a noise about it. So Rory came on stage and he said, don't even try, because Silicon Valley is unique. What you need to find in this region is the uniques, the crystals, that we can form our own cluster, our own resurgence, our own force in the tech world. And it's stayed with me ever since. And I've done a chunk of listening and thinking about it, and I've come up with 4 factors that I think are really, really important. One is the place, convening. We've got the connectivity here. There's individuals, and not looking at anyone in particular, I've added relentless bloody mindedness as being an important characteristic for individuals, because you've got to have people who are going to keep pushing against all the odds. My third factor is Zeitgeist, and for the non-British and then non-German speakers, Zeitgeist, literally in German it means, where's Emily Yarrow to help me out here? It means the geist of the time. So what is the spirit of the time? And I've talked a little bit about waves of technology. It's where does the spirit come? Where are the opportunities at any given moment in an economic cycle? And then we have institutions here, the scaffolding for building that scale. And one of the fantastic parts of our region, a region you can get your arms around. And I've added 2 further factors. Capital, money, it's often one of the top things about why is it not happening in the Northeast? I really don't see money as the problem. I think if you've got really good ideas, the money will follow. The challenge is the vision. It's joining the dots, getting all of these things and knowing kind of what you want and pushing for it. So it's, I haven't mentioned yet, but I had a brief political career running to be the mayor of the north of Tyne, Newcastle, in 2019, and this was one of my slogans: projects, not politics. How do we get the things that the region needs and queue them up so that we can deliver them when the money comes through? And again, I'm sorry, it's childish. I know Lisa sounded so sensible. I wanted to get the word enshittification in because it's a tech concept that you may know. It's how you get something good and you build a product and then they try and value engineer it over and over times, iteration 2, iteration 3, so that the deliverers of the product are making money kind of at the expense of those people who are still stupid enough to buy it. And Labour Party politics might be a bit like that. That we've had people with vision. T. Dan Smith certainly bashed it through. I worry where we're going with the current Labour administration, as much as I worry where we're going with all politicians at the moment. But it relies on people to team up, to make a vision for the place and to push that through. And it is very, very hard because so many other people are trying at the same time. So looking at I probably don't even really need to talk about these. We all know them, the unique deep industrial heritage. It is a bit of a bugbear that people try and do these headlines from coal to code, because the coal was a very long time ago. A lot of the innovation was a very long time ago. How do we claim heritage and from those things when, you know, the chemicals, the biotech had no real heritage with us? We've got the brilliant industrial, the universities. We've got, you know, we have fantastic, we're still a magnet for global talent. Hello, team over here, MBA students. Thank you so much for coming. You know, it's great that Newcastle has a status from all of that. And we do have, you know, these creative economy, tech economy stuff where things are happening. One of the key parts of working for Dynamo was, yes, we wanted to do an industrial cluster, but I think because we're 100 miles from Leeds, we're 100 miles from Edinburgh, we're a very long way from Westminster, we feel like as a region we've been done to and that we're somewhat backward. Passion, you know, passionate people, passionate places. I don't know whether it got the 300 grand budget, but it had, you know, how you get there. It was a glue for Dynamo that all the people we spoke to wanted to help because they wanted the region to be a better place. And so at this point, I thought I would show you a video. Stephen Sadie, who I sent the slides to, I had embedded it. He has spent all day re-embedding this, and I hope when I click, it works, and it'll give me a chance for a little bit of a locket break. But if you want passion for the region, here it comes.
There's no place like here for a decent pint of beer. I've been away 8 years, but don't shed your tears. Right back where I belong. Although you haven't changed while I've been on the road.
haircuts are fantastic, aren't they? And there's a bit of storytelling. I don't know whether you spotted it. The girlfriend, she's got a ring on her finger now. So here's the problem statement I put on place. We're not even a first-tier city. We're not even a second-tier city. I think we've got to acknowledge we're third-tier. We're not competing with London, and there's no point trying to compete with London and Paris and Berlin and New York. We've got to find our competitor set. And the challenge is, when you do league tables, the Northeast, because of that density issue, it doesn't often come top. And so the bit that I'm conjuring with as my background in marketing, I did a lot of the marketing of technology, is how do you differentiate us? What is the unique selling point that we have as a city? And how do you make sure that we don't become a clone city? And a small, the challenge that we've had with all the RDAs is that everyone seems to be gunning for the big opportunity sectors and that are in growth. And you can then, if you took the badge of each region, all of their brochures end up looking exactly the same. So we really, really need to make sure, and that's the deep thinking, in my view, of how you go to differentiate. It was cause of some amusement this week. I was at a university meeting last week, and we were talking about the branding of the business school. And Newcastle has a slogan, "From Newcastle to the world." That's for the world. And I'm an undergrad alum from Manchester. This week, what did they launch as their new shiny slogan and branding? From Manchester for the world. Chris says exactly the same typeface. So we're all after the same things. It's how do you narrow in? We've got these challenges. How do you tell the stories? And where is the vision and the leadership to push through? And it takes deep thinking. This, I think about it all the time. I don't know, it's like a competitive sport for me. I challenged AI to give me a logo with a bit of a Geordie thing, but Geordie phrase, and it built me this logo. I think that might be Civic Centre / St James's Park. But yeah, I was into the branding, because how do you differentiate our city from other cities? It's really, really hard. But it's really, really important to do that, to get breakthrough, because to my point about every niche is a rabbit hole you go down now. If you're going down you're in a very small niche, it opens up and there's global competition. So how do we beat those other people? You've got to outthink them.